section we can share with them. Great. Okay. Sharing my screen in a few, and let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Yes, the chat box will really help me. Great. Perfect. We are on the same page. Okay, so we are here, speak her language. We want really to have this conversation with our daughters. There is no way Brenda can be coming from wherever she's coming from and she's able to get to penetrate into the hearts of our daughters, and we are not able. There is no way. Kwani, which magic is she using? I am not using magic. Okay, and that is why I felt as I'm mentoring your daughters, we had an amazing experience during midterm. I hardly share the recording for the recording that I have with girls. I hardly share it with their parents. Why? Because it will make your girls lose trust with me. They share very sensitive information. They share very crucial information. And sometimes parents, I have had this experience with you. Sometimes your daughter will trust me with the information. For example, your daughter tells me, I really don't understand why my mom doesn't allow me to visit my dad, and I try to make it easy, and I come and have conversation with you. And the next thing that I'm hearing is that you told your daughter and you confronted her. And you don't do it in a wrong way. It's like, sasa si tumeongea hii mambo, we have talked about these things. Why are you not understanding? But during midterm, I really felt compelled to share the recording with the parents, and some of them are here, and they can witness, I'm sure, that I shared the recordings, or rather the session that I had with their daughters, because I really felt parents need to understand what is going through the lives of their children. That if I keep that information, it is not going to help me. But if you as a parent, you are able to understand what's happening, it will help you and your relationship with your daughter. And so I shared that information, or the two sessions, with the parents, so that they have a bigger picture of what is happening. And I got very amazing feedback. Like a parent tells me, I didn't know this was happening to my daughter. I didn't know this, how she was thinking about this situation. I'm glad that my daughter opened up to you. But also I really loved the midterm session because girls were really supporting each other, and they would advise each other, and they would see, I've also gone through the same, and this is what I did, and I could see that conversation, and when a girl is sharing a very emotional experience they went through, she would feel the other girls would send love emojis, hugs, and just showing that we are together, and it gave warmth to the girls, like, hey, I'm not alone, we are many. But also, besides what she's going through in their schools, there is also a supportive community. There are other girls who are very supportive, and that's one of the unique thing I had with that class. And we're having those conversations with the parents, of course, in a separate group. So we want to have this conversation, speak her language, let her understand you, okay? And so why are we here tonight? Our parents are feeling frustrated that their children can't open up to them. They are opening up to any other person, but not them, okay? Or they're choosing to be quiet and not opening up to them or to you. But also, parents are feeling helpless that their children are becoming closed up day by day. When you are expecting your daughter to open up and to be authentic with you as she grows, instead, she's withholding, she's becoming distant from you, and sometimes it's making you to be frustrated as a parent, like you don't know what to do. You don't know, what are you supposed to do? I mean, are you supposed to guess what she's going through? But also parents are wondering what I do for teenagers to trust me. And really, I want you to have this experience as well. If you put the things that you're going to talk about into practice, they're gonna help you really. Okay. But what are the specific questions that parents are asking? How do I create a safe space where she feels comfortable opening up, regardless of the topic? What's the best way to navigate those tough conversations about sensitive topics? And I remember, was it in March? We had, or January, we had a conversation on comprehensive sexual education, and parents were really asking, how can we have these conversations with our daughters? Considering that the way we were brought up, it was like a taboo. How do you talk about sex? I mean, utaanza wapi? Where do you even start? You know, and I was telling parents, you need to call everything as it is, not giving them the pet names, okay? So how do you have this difficult conversation with your daughters? But also, how can I foster mutual understanding and truly listen to her without judging, without completing the sentences for her? You know, as parents, we know that they are children. And we want to support them and we want to be there for them. You know, sometimes we showing them that this one you don't know, let me complete the sentence for you, okay? But these are the things that really work for me as Brenda, even with my friends' daughters, with my own sisters who are, I have a sister who is now a teenager, and even the girls that I coach and I mentor, despite being our first experience, I get to penetrate their hearts. And this is what works for me. First is that I'm a stranger to them. But being a stranger to them is not enough because I can't open to any other stranger, okay? But what makes me a unique stranger is that I will not make reference to a past mistake that they did. Why? I do not know. I don't know the mistake that they made, so I can't make a reference. I've not labeled them, you know, and sometimes as parents, you may be angry or very irritated of what your daughter has said or has done, and you're like, you're very responsible. Can't you be responsible? Or why are you lazy? Why are you, you are arrogant. You are labeling them. And they don't forget. So I have not labeled them. This is my first experience with them. So I have not labeled them. So I'm a neutral person. Okay. But also what I do, it's they fear their mothers, not even their fathers. Girls fear their mothers. And telling them that I'll not tell your mom is a safe space for them. And why are they comfortable when I tell them I'll not tell your mom? It is because their moms have labeled them. They have made a reference to past mistakes. They have judged them. They have completed sentences for them. They still think they are children. They don't give them a part of an autonomy that these girls need. So you see the part of the stranger that really works for me. And I know you might be here and also you deal with children or you deal with students. Being a stranger is not enough, but do you make reference to their past mistake? You see, you have repeated. I told you not to do it and you promised you will not repeat, but you have repeated. Where are you are making a reference to a past mistake. And that one has a big, it really affects them in terms of how they view you. My mom always makes reference. Even if I share with her my secret, she will come up 2 years down the line. She will just still talk about it. Okay. What also works for me, I am very practical, very, very practical. And parents, you also know, for them that have attended my previous sessions, you know I'm very, very practical. I don't bring theoretical things at point number 2, point number 10, you know, do this and it will, no, I'm very, very practical. To me, I also share my experiences, not when I was a child, my now experiences. You know, sometimes I will have a program for like 5 days. And by the 5th day, I'm so tired. And I'll come with a seat and I'm telling girls, I'm not standing today. I want to teach you seated because I am tired. You know, and they're like, oh, sorry, Teacher Brenda, sorry, you know. Very, very practical. I have tried to tell parents, please be vulnerable with your daughters. let them know the experiences. Of course, you know what is important for them. For example, when you are at work and you've had a busy day and you're tired, instead of coming home, you don't look happy and going to the kitchen, maybe prepare a meal or take a shower, have dinner and go to sleep. Why don't you tell them, hey, Joy, today I had a crazy day at work. One of my colleagues really irritated me and I got so angry. So I've not really had a good afternoon, but well, I'm here. So I'll just go to sleep early. What are you teaching them? That life is not that good. What are you teaching them? That I trust you, I'm being vulnerable. I know you'll not help, but I'm being vulnerable. What is she learning from that? She's learning that mommy is human. She's not a superstar. She can also be irritated. She can also be angry. And so what are you also telling me? Joy, when you get angry, also come and tell me. When you get tired, also come and tell me. So I am very, very practical, okay? If I didn't have a good sleep, I'll tell them, guys, I just had a terrible night, okay? Or if, like in my last class with, during midterm, I was telling the girls, I didn't know it was a big deal, but I was telling them how I went and I craved for a burger, and I had an amazing big square burger. And it was a whole conversation on the chat, and they were so excited. And someone said, oh, I don't like burger. Another said, me, I like chapati. That is how you are opening up to girls. Being realistic. You're not cooking stories so that you gain their trust. You're not cooking stories so that they see you as a human being, but you're just showing who you are, you know, to an extent, excuse me, to an extent of saying, Carol, today I'm just feeling so off. I'm not in my best mood. I'm not feeling like talking. Could you allow me to go and sleep, or just allow me to be? I'll talk to you tomorrow. What are you telling them? That when you don't feel like talking, instead of sneaking in your bed and sleeping, you can actually come and tell me, and I will allow you to be. So I am very, very practical. I don't try to pretend anything. There is also something I was sharing with a parent, and this is my personal experience. Sometimes how do I put it? I wasn't brought up my biological dad, okay? And I had these questions in my heart, in as much as I know what led to separation between my mom and my biological dad, I still could not understand. There is 1, 2, 3 things that are not making sense. And those things kept on disturbing me in my head, you know, especially when my stepdad would treat me in a way that suggested, you are not my girl, you are not my daughter. Those things will come in my mind and I'll carry them to class, you know, but that I had no one to ask. And it reached a point and I had to ask my mom some of these difficult questions. And we had a conversation with her. And all the questions that I had, she answered. Okay? So if you are a single mom, if you are a single dad, for sure, 101%, your daughter has these questions in mind. I know it might be difficult to have this conversation with her, but know that she has these questions in her mind. And she may not know how these things are affecting her. Sometimes some of her behaviors could be as a result of the questions and the feelings and interpretation of those things in her mind. Okay, let me get there. So be very practical. If you're tired, if you're angry, if you're feeling frustrated, tell her how you are feeling about that particular situation. Okay. But also the last one, I'm very, very empathetic. And it's something, it's one of my strengths. And being empathetic means if a girl comes to share with me stories about their crush they are having, and a relationship, or a girl who took a boyfriend, you know, those kind of conversation, I'm always very, I put myself in their shoes. Like, suppose it was me, how would I feel? And because of doing that, I don't tell them, hey, you are in school, don't have a boyfriend, you are young, I'm even paying your school fees, I'm even doing this, you shouldn't have a boyfriend. Let him take your boyfriend. Are you sure? Are you sure that's what you would, that's what you would like to hear? Let them take. Being empathetic, because these are human beings, complete. They're not mature, but they are complete human beings with feelings, desire to be loved, desire to be with the opposite sex, with so many desires. So when you tell them, don't have a boyfriend, you have closed that conversation for eternity. She may never come to tell you about the issues of opposite sex relationship any other time, unless now when she's getting married and he has to introduce her fiancé, But when you engage empathetically, in terms of, I know it might be difficult, but really this was what works for me. For example, you realize your daughter is hanging around a particular boy, you ask her, tell me about Kevin. Are you meeting Kevin today? I've realized you guys are having some good time. Tell me more about it. What do you talk about? Not like, sasa niambie, Kevin ni nani? Mbona mnatembea naye kwa estate? You will get pregnant. Done. Closed and closed forever. Okay? Also, every time your daughter has a boy, or they're talking with a boy, or they're hanging around with a boy, it doesn't mean they're in a relationship. It doesn't mean she's getting pregnant the next minute. You are also a human being. You have male colleagues, you have male friends, you have male figures even in church. Does it mean every time you're talking, there is something fishy going on between you? No. So it's a way of being empathetic, not to mean don't be cautious as a parent, but try to put yourself in her shoes. And considering her age, she's an adolescent. There are these emotions that she wants to stay around the opposite sex. There is this affirmation that she's getting from this boy or these boys or these even girls. She wants to hang around with them. So what I'm basically saying, I'm talking about being empathetic, trying to put yourself in her shoes, considering they are also in a space where they are not children, but also they are not adults. And you contribute to that. Why? This is how you'll comment. Joy, you are now an adult. There's no way you can be, you are not an adult. Sasa we ni msichana mkubwa, you are a big girl. There's no way you can be waking up and leaving your bed not spread. Joy, this is now the next scenario. Joy, there's no way you can be leaving my house. You're still a child. You understand? In one scenario, you're telling them they are big girls, they should be making their own decisions, they should be dependent, they should be, like my mom, my mom kept on telling me, and I can't forget it, it really used to hurt me. She used to tell me, use your common sense, use your common sense, in the village, it's raining, you have not collected some firewoods, but in my mind, in my little mind, I'm thinking, I'm not actually even thinking about firewood, I'm thinking, because it's going to rain, let me wash utensils. And my mom expects me to use my common sense because it's almost raining, I should collect firewood. And she will tell me, Brenda, can't you use common sense? And so probably you might be there. In some scenarios, you're telling your daughter, you are a big girl. You should be like this. You should be making decisions. You know what to. But another scenario, you're a child. You should be asking me for permission. You should be like, parents, am I making sense? Please let me know if what I'm saying is making sense to you. The chat box, is it making sense? Have you ever found yourself in that situation where you're telling your daughter in one scenario, she's a child, and in another scenario, she's a big girl? Please let me know so that I know if we are together. Okay. Yes, it's true. Totally. A lot of sense. Thank you, parents. Very true, totally, I agree. Absolutely true. Yes, so I feel safe. So those are the three things that really parents have worked. No magic, not that I told you I'm not a trained psychologist, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm just someone who is passionate about girls. I'm a mentor, I'm a certified life coach. And those are the things that really help me to thrive. But there is no drama there is no science whatsoever in what I do, okay? Or in the conversations that I have with your girls. So if I can have that conversation with them, you can also have. It may not be easy for you because you're starting from a point, but definitely you can have this conversation with your daughters, okay? Now, a quick one: why teenagers don't trust or open up to their parents? Very quick, very practical. Girls create a no mom zone. There is every girl has the no mom zone, and teenage girls often crave independence, and I've mentioned that, and they want to establish their own identity. And that way, sometimes, if you used to buy clothes for your daughter, if you continue doing it, you realize izongu ataki, because she has her own taste, her own preferences. She wants to make her decisions. And so if you try to get into that space, she feels, you shouldn't. There are some limits. And parents, it's not all about you. It's not that there is always something you are doing that is wrong, yenye inafanya mtoto asikuamini ama asikuongele. No. And please be kind to yourself. That it's not that I'm the bad parent. What did I do wrong? Why can't she trust me? Kwani I'm not a good parent? It's not all about you. Sometimes it's about them and the science and the biology that is happening in their body, And so be gracious to them. When you realize your daughter is now closing her bedroom when she's changing, it's not about you. It's her. She wants that privacy. Mom, umekuja sana, mom. And in as much as they may not tell you that, but they may insinuate, like, mom, allow me. I don't feel like having dinner. So why are you forcing me to have dinner? I don't like rice and dengu because you want us to eat healthy. I just don't like. So if you pester and push, you have to have this, you are now getting into a space, the no mom zone. And the moment you get into the no mom zone, she quells. Okay? But also, there is this they call inversion of the privacy. You are getting into their private space. And remember, have this in mind. They are complete human beings. For example, myself, I like where I've kept my things, I find them there. So if I put my roll-on in a particular place and someone comes and picks it, and I get so offended. But why do you think when you take your daughter's stuff where she had put them and you put them in a different place, why are you doing that? If you are living with your sister, elder sister, or your sister, of course you will respect her items, you respect her clothes, you respect. But I used to see my mom sometimes coming and getting into the wardrobe and checking into my box and checking, these panties, Brenda, you should not mix panties and socks, you should keep them this way. And by the time I'm coming the evening, my box is arranged. So I feel so offended. Is there a better way, parent, you can do that? If you feel that your daughter, whatever she's doing is not right, or there is a better way, is there a better way you can do that instead of getting into or asking the house help, go and tengeneze kitanda, mpangie nguo and stuff like that, But also somehow, because of our parental instincts, we land into their very private documents, or to items, or to papers, or journals, I had a case where I was coaching a girl, and I bought her a journal, and I trained her how to do a journal, and I told her it's a private book, no one should access that book. And I always tell parents, please respect your daughter's journals. See yako kindly. Yeah, why? Because in that journal, I trained them on how to put their thoughts, all the evil and good thoughts, let them put them on that paper, on that book. But somehow, parents, because of our instinct, we will land on those journals and those small papers and those love letters that they send. We will land on them. And then the next thing that we are discussing after dinner on the dining table, it's about relationships and love. You should not be in a relationship. Like, Joy, I saw you had written a letter. Who is Kevin? I know we can land into these notebooks. I know we can land on their journals, but can we just be quiet and assume we have not seen? But also support them in relation to the things that they had written. For example, you went and you found your daughter's journal, or she'd written at the back of a notebook how she's frustrated because of a certain girl, a friend who is bullying her. So instead of going and addressing this direct, I saw that you said that Karen is bullying you. Why is she bullying you? Have you reported? Instead of saying that, why don't you teach her how to have boundaries, how to communicate effectively, and how she can communicate to Karen without mentioning the word Karen, indirectly supporting what she's going through instead of attacking that particular thing that she's going through. So inversion of the privacy snatchers. So they feel like, my mom is she gets into my space a lot. If you have any question, feel free to ask on the chat box. I'll come to address them later once I finish this and our time is far much spent. Emotional vulnerability. Teenagers often experience intense emotions and they might fear being vulnerable with their parents. You may decide that you're going for maybe swimming, or you're taking them for swimming or for coffee date or whatever, and you leave the house, they are happy, they are good. By the time you are getting in that restaurant, moods are all over. She's so angry, she's so sad, you don't know what has happened, and you really cannot explain. Be gracious. And I told you, parents, it's not all about you. The moment you separate her reaction, her experiences from you, then you are able to look at her from a very independent angle, like as a human being, and not like, I have to help you. Why are you angry? What is frustrating you? Like, I want to help you. I can sometimes, even them, they don't know what's going through their body. And the hormones that are, the change of hormones is also catching up with them. They don't know, because this is not a space that they are familiar with. They don't know, and so they are afraid if they tell you what's going through their mind, you may misunderstand them. For example, I don't like that, Mom, you choose Java for coffee. We should have gone to, Fago, Gaucho, or somewhere other place. And you're like, why didn't you tell me? And then you pick a whole drama out of that. So they are afraid. And sometimes it's not even today. And I'll talk about that later. It might be something you did when she was 6 years old. Because sometimes some of the questions that I used to ask my mom, she would ask me, how come you remember that scenario, that incident, and you are just 4 years old? Okay, so because of their past experiences with you, they are afraid to be vulnerable with you. Just the way as a parent, you have that friend you go to speak up. You just want to pour your emotions and what's happening at your workplace. You are frustrated and you just want to speak. You know clearly they don't have a solution. And actually you don't want a solution. You just want someone who will listen to you without judging. It's the same thing with your daughter. Sometimes when they tell you what's going through their lives or the pain they have, it's not that you offer a solution. It's sometimes so that you listen and you become empathetic. Then they will come again and again. But if you show that you are, I'm here, I'm your mother, I want to solve all your problems, you are blocking, because clearly she knows you are not able to solve her problems. Now the issue they have with Karen in school, you may not be able to solve, because sometimes you may suggest, can I come and talk to the teacher? And they're like, that's too far. The moment you do that and you say that, also that's another point of blocking them. But also the final thing, why our daughters don't open up to their parents or to us, is fear of judgment. Girls may worry that their parents will judge their choices, or disapprove of their actions. This fear can hinder their willingness to share personal details or seek advice. Okay. I had a girl who used to wear they are called what? Ragged trousers. But because her parents were church elders, they didn't want those things. Va vizuri. Nguo imeraruka hapana. And this girl really loved ragged. And they were decent, you know, not the extreme ragged. And so when they're going for these church activities, the girl would pack an extra trouser that she bought with her pocket money without the parents knowing. And so when they get those exciting moments, anachomoa, she gets out her trouser and puts on, and she feels good. And how did the parents came to know? They came to know because the photos were shared on Facebook, the church Facebook page, and they saw how their daughter was dressed, and they felt so embarrassed, you know. And when they asked the daughter could not talk anything. She just cried. And she opened up to me, and then I had to relay that information to the parents. You know, it ended up well. But sometimes your children, the things that they may do behind your back, it's because they know you are a judge. You are a serious judge, you know, and I call them magistrates. You know, you really take things so heavily in your heart. But also, parent, how come we judge? And I'll stop sharing so that I read the comments. How come sometimes we judge our children so harshly? How come we judge them so harshly, or we don't judge them? What really happens? Let me check the comments. Miriam says learning a lot. Kwanza hapo kwa being empathetic. Jenny says lots of sense. Contradicting oneself happens a lot. It does, as parents. Just realize that's how I behave. Oh, okay. Nancy says about buying anything, even jewelry, I stopped. My taste is no longer her taste. Oh yes, you better stop, Nancy. And I love that. The better way to me is keep reminding them to organize their things. It's hard, but yeah, what do you do as a parent? Okay, because you also don't want to arrange their things, and then the next minute when they leave your house, they are not able to understand why they need to arrange their things. Okay. Nina says, I remember coming home and finding out that my mother went through my things. I used to hate it. Or you tell her something and she announces it to the whole world. I find myself doing the same thing. Now, Nina, that's a very good space to start, because it's now ushering us to the next conversation. And parents, I want to ask you, why do we judge? Why do we try to replicate how we were brought up? Is there, and I want to ask you this question, is there a relationship between how you are brought up and how you're bringing up your children? Vivian says, I fold, she refolds her clothes, so I stopped. Yes. Respect. Unakunja anakunjua. Respect. I love that. Tell me in the comment section, is there a relationship between how you are raised and how you're raising your children? Is there a relationship between how you are raised and how you're raising your daughter? Is there a relationship between how your mom treated you and how you're treating your daughter? Is there a relationship between your experiences as a young girl and how you are treating your daughter? Eunice says, I feel like deep down, we are our mothers. And Nina says, yes, I think there is a relationship. It is the blueprint of how we are raising them. And Judith says, oh, they are moving so fast. Judith says, we are programmed to behave the way our parents did because we don't know different. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else you know. Ryle says, the reason why we judge is we think we are perfect and things should run the way we think and feel. And I can add, things should go the way I want as a parent. Marilyn says, yes, there's a relationship between how you were parented. Jenny said, guilty. I always tell her I'm my mom's daughter, and therefore I find myself raising her how I was raised. Rose says, I'm trying to build a healthy relationship with my daughter in Form 3. At some point, I almost lost it. Thank you, Rose. Rosemary says, no relationship at all. Two different things. I swear not to bring her the same way I was brought on my end. It was horrible. Nancy, no relationship, but the mistakes I did, I'm afraid not to lose her. I am afraid, look at that. I am afraid not to lose her. Please, parent, follow this keenly. Priscilla, being judgmental and being overprotective. Where did that come from? I had a different relationship with my son, but with time, he told me how he felt, so I'm trying to do things differently. Generational patterns. Let's work to break the negative ones. Very overprotective. Carol says very overprotective. Why are you very overprotective, Carol? Just a rhetorical question. I think I'm afraid she makes the same mistakes I made as a teenager. My mom conceived me when she was in Form 4. Yeah, she was in Form 4. And she was, I think, 20. Yeah, that time they were studying while a little bit old. So she was 20 and she conceived me while I was in Form 4. Not the best. Her father, my grandfather now, was a policeman. Very tough, very strict. He educated all our children, and so my mom, being pregnant while in Form 4, at least the rest of my aunties, at least they were past Form 4 by the time they became pregnant or got married or whatever. But my mom, she was in Form 4, and it was very difficult for her. My grandfather made it very, very difficult for her. She was even given more tasks at home when she's pregnant, and even after she gave birth. It was miserable. And that is why she decided to elope with my biological father, even if she really didn't want. Now, how did that affect my relationship with her? When I was a teenager, my mom would freak out when she saw me with a boy. She would freak out. And she made it even more comfortable. Please, instead of talking with boys outside, come home. For me, I thought that, well, my mom is so good, she welcomes boys at home, and such kind of conversation. Of course, it had the good side of it, because then we didn't have time to hide and do the fishy things, or no. My friends would always talk to mom. But now, thinking about it and reflecting, she was afraid that I'll get pregnant as a teenager. And the only thing she was afraid of is me getting pregnant. And she'll tell me, Brenda, when you talk to boys, you'll be pregnant. And that is what was in my mind. I talk to boys, I'll be pregnant, And so when I'm talking with boys, I'm interacting, even in class or in church or wherever, it's pregnancy. Mimba, utapata mimba. Ukipata mimba nitakufukuza. And so she was projecting her experiences to me. And she was afraid that I will take her path and that I will fall in the same path that she did. Is it the same thing with us? Is it? I don't know. The father, now my grandfather, was a very tough man in terms of house chores, going to till the land, kulima, harvesting, taking the cows to the river for water, blah, blah, blah. Now, for me, it was different. Why? Because she felt they were denied opportunities of being children. And now what happened to me? She let me be. She released me to the world. She let me enjoy my childhood. And even if I was brought up in the village, I can't tell you I was going to the shamba. I can't tell you that I was doing the manual work. And that is why partly she used to send me to the camps and trainings and programs and everything. Whatever she lacked, she's giving it to me. Full blast. Okay? The pain that she went through, she's afraid that I will go through it. And so she's overly protective. And so she will push herself into my space. When you get a boyfriend, tell me. And that's what she used to tell me. When you get a boyfriend, tell me. When you feel you love someone, tell me. When you feel like you want to be in a relationship with a boy, bring him, bring the boy at home. Why? Because she wants to see if they look like my father. And it happened actually. At some point, it was very, very dramatic. Faith says, I am still overprotective. My mom would literally walk behind me to ensure I don't turn and talk to boys. I'm realizing I copy-pasted this among others, especially when I meet with boys or men. Let me go back to my slides. So why are we like that? Why are we like that, parents? And there is something that is called childhood trauma. Now, I know most of us, when we think about trauma, we think about accidents, we think about fire, we think about a building that has collapsed, and maybe your child was there. But really, childhood trauma is often described as a serious adverse childhood experience. Now, this is the trauma. Let me give you an example. You and your spouse, you engage in a very heated conversation in the presence of your children. It has nothing to do with him. It has nothing to do with your daughter, completely. But remember, she knows that this is home. This is my safe space. This is mom and dad, and they love each other and they treat each other. But today, they are fighting. This is a trauma. The child now starts to interpret that scenario. I am not loved. They are fighting because of me. They can hit me. So my dad can also, I can't trust my dad. If he can hit my mom, I can't trust her. If my mom can talk that badly to my dad, I can't trust her. The interpretation of scenarios. You come home from work very exhausted. And I use an example. If you're an auditor, during the audit season, it becomes crazy. You're coming home at 9, so tired, and you find your 10-year-old daughter or 8-year-old daughter. She's waiting for you. She has so many stories to share with you. She is excited that you're home, but you're blacked completely, zero energy. Now, remember, you are showing that you are strong. So you have not taken even 3 minutes to tell your daughter, Mommy, I had a terrible day, or I had a difficult day, or I am exhausted, whatever your experience is. And so when she comes to you jumping, you have thrown your handbag, you have seated on the couch, food is brought, you go to shower and sleep, blackout. This is the trauma. Mommy doesn't love me. Mommy cannot listen to me. Mom does not give me her time, so I can't tell her anything. Mom cannot listen even to what I want to tell her. Mommy does not hate me, does not love me. She hates me. Interpretation of experiences, interpretation of scenarios. So when you say your daughter does not trust you, was there a season in your life where you showed her you can't be trusted? Okay. Your girl has shared an experience of the way a girl in school is taking advantage of her items, you know, And because you're so angry and you want to protect her, she has been telling you she's losing socks and blouse every single time, but this time she has opened up, but like, mommy, I don't lose, it's girl so and so who comes and picks them and she loses them, and you're so angry because it has cost implication on your budget, and you're like, I'll call the teacher. What's our interpretation? Mommy cannot trust me that I can solve that problem. Mommy cannot trust me that I'm able to handle that, especially if she told you don't talk to the teachers. And that is how you block them. But parent, let me ask you, let's ask ourselves this question. What happened to us? I know I have been pushing that agenda even on my social media, that parents, whenever you see a particular behavior with your child, ask yourself, what happened to my daughter? What happened to my daughter that she cannot trust me anymore? What happened to my daughter that she can't open up? She just cries and cries. What happened to my daughter that she now loses items in school? What happens to my daughter that she has now started bedwetting and she had stopped? What happened to my daughter that she can be so rude to a younger brother? What happened to us? Now I'm throwing the question to us. What happened to us? Okay. Trust issues. Parents who have experienced childhood trauma may struggle with trust themselves. They may find it challenging to trust others, including their own children. And parents, even as I'm sharing this, think about even at your workplace, even your relationship with other people and friends, your family members. Have that conversation in your mind. And this creates a cycle of mistrust, even in the family. For example, imagine you endured betrayal or abandonment in your childhood. For example, you are brought up by a single parent, or your father abandoned you, or your mother abandoned you. For you, you may think, okay, my mom struggled really to bring you up, and you feel like she really tried. But what does that mean? Remember, childhood trauma is the interpretation of issues. How are you interpreting your dad leaving or your mom leaving? Okay. So you may struggle with trusting your child and trusting others. So you may exhibit excessive skepticism, such that if your son comes home at 8 p.m. and he tells you he's from watching basketball or playing basketball, you're like, are you sure, Mike? Why can't you trust that first sentence? Okay. And I'm holding all the other factors constant, knowing also that teenagers can be cheeky and they can lie a lot. But today we are talking about, or at this moment we are talking about ourselves. So when you exhibit that skepticism, you are causing your adolescent girl to feel constantly scrutinized or distrusted. How come you can't trust your daughter when she tells you she has crumbs and you think that she doesn't want to do house chores? Trust issues. Okay. So if you had anything to do with trust issues when you are growing up, it will show up now. It will show up in your relationship with your daughter. Forgetting that your daughter is an independent person and she has been exposed to different things compared to you. Okay. Communication patterns. Parents who have experienced childhood trauma may have difficulty expressing themselves, being vulnerable, or understanding their child's emotional needs. You were brought up in an environment where you can't speak. Your father's word was final. Your mother's word was final, especially if you are brought up by a combination of a teacher and a policeman, or a teacher and a church elder. Those days, that combination was crazy, and in most of the cases. So you are not given an opportunity as a parent or as a child to express yourselves and to say what is going through your mind or what you're feeling. And that is why sometimes when our children tells us right now, Mom, you've hurt me, it hits us so hard that how can I hurt you? How have I hurt you? it doesn't really sit well with us. Why? Because we are not exposed to such. Okay? Even now, not even in our childhood, but even in our relationship with our spouses, if we have been in that constant argument, constant mistrust, constant, you can't communicate, you cannot express yourself, your spouse cannot listen to you, you may project the same to your children. So if you are not listened to, then you are not able, not that you don't want, but you are not able to listen to your daughter or to your son. Okay? Triggered responses. Parents with unresolved trauma might have certain triggers or reactions that can unintentionally harm the trust bond. Remember, we are asking the question, what happened to us? So it is unintentional. You are not failing to trust your children or to listen to your children intentionally. It's unintentional. It is unspoken. Suppose you experienced physical abuse as a child and it was not resolved, or you experienced sexual abuse. Any experience with your daughter currently may trigger those emotions, how you felt. You felt like you were fighting for yourself. You felt like you were struggling. And so anything can trigger those reactions. And so if your daughter is trying to have a conversation or rather trying to make you understand a point, it will trigger those responses. So you feel like you're now on the back and forth, and you feel like you want to fight for your space. Are we together, parents? But also emotional availability. Parents who have unresolved childhood trauma might struggle with emotional availability and expression. You don't know how to be available emotionally for your child. You are not able to validate your child. You are not able. I had an experience in campus with one of my male friend. Was serving with him in the Christian Union, a very good guy. And so he was sharing with me his experience with his father, who was a church elder in one of the mainstream churches. And so he was feeling the father and the mother are so busy. They are both teachers. And he was feeling they were so busy, they don't have time for them. And so one of the evenings, he chooses to have a conversation with the father, and he says, Dad, I don't feel loved. I actually started, Dad, do you love me? And this African man looked at him with the eyes of, what do you mean? What do you mean? And they had the conversation, and he told him that I feel you don't love me, and I want to feel your love more. Do you know what the father said? Let me use this name. Tony, how can you say that I don't love you, yet I pay your school fees? You're staying in my house, but I still give you monthly allowance of 10,000. You have a car. I fuel that car that you used to go to school with, and I give you some other luxuries that other children don't have, or other young adults don't have. What do you mean that I don't love you? If you cannot interpret all these actions as love, then you have a problem. And that's how that conversation ended, sadly. And so when this guy was telling me, he was feeling so broken, because for him, what he was looking for, a male figure. He has a father who is alive, who is very respected in the community, but he wanted a male figure in his life, a man that they can have a man talk with, a man that he can open up and share his struggles with girlfriends in school, in the university, a man that he wanted to have a chicken business. He wants to have this conversation with a man, and he was looking for his father. He wanted the love of his father, who was not there, and who felt that actually you, Tony, are the problem. If you have never been given that platform, if you are neglected as a child, children who go to boarding school when they are very, very young, and they are not made to understand why they are going in a boarding school. And maybe the boarding school is a hostile place. So they feel neglected. They feel that they are being thrown in school so that our parents can continue with their lives. If that is who you are, then you may not know how to be vulnerable or emotional. You may not be able to be emotional, to offer emotional support to your children. Even if you try, you can't, you just cannot. How easy, you have not been taught, and one of the parents in the comment section said that we don't know how. You didn't see it. And so chances are you are going to give what you are given. Anything that you are not given, you don't know if it exists. If no one ever asked you, tell me how you're feeling today. Are you happy or are you sad? What is happening in your mind? If no one told you or asked you that, then you may not ask that to your daughter. And you'll be surprised when you ask open-ended questions, the feedback that you can get, as opposed to, mbona unalia? Why are you moody? If no one sat you down to just inquire how you're faring on, then you may not be able to do that. Please feel free to put or to ask any question. I emphasize, or I repeat, I am not a therapist. I am not a counselor. I am not a psychologist, a psychiatrist. This is information that I've gathered with time. It's available. And I'm relating it with the experiences I'm having with parents and also girls. Because how come a parent would be so vulnerable to me? They want to support their daughter. They want to be there for their daughter, to listen. Whereas the daughter feels that my mom is not available, my mom does not do this, my mom does not, or my dad does not do this. What is the problem? Where is the missing mark? And what do we need to do? Okay. And I am getting now into the space of now reaching out to parents, because I'm realizing my mentorship programs with girls is not bearing as much fruit as I want, because I will empower girls, I will empower girls, I'll talk to girls, I will equip them with skills, I will give them some tools, I'll train them on how to journal. But then when they go back at home, the parents are still getting into their space, they're invading into their space, the parents are not able. I've told girls, be emotionally open up your emotions to your mother, but then when they go to open up to their mother are not able. They don't know. They honestly don't know how to support. For example, you're having a conversation with your daughter about her performance and she's feeling so helpless. She's feeling so devastated. But when she comes to tell you what she's going through, you tell her, okay, can I get a teacher so that you can be having tuition over the holiday? Really, that is so depressing. It's even depressing more, because your daughter wants someone to be empathetic. Ataki tuition. She just wants to know that my mom understands and feels me. My mom can be there for me. When she comes and tells you, Mom, I think my clothes are becoming bigger. Sometimes they are very innocent. I mean, they are becoming smaller. Sometimes they are very innocent and they are hurting from inside. And you as a parent, one of the things that you're saying, umekuwa mkubwa tu kama auntie yako. These are our bodies. There's nothing we can do, without knowing that there is a battle that your daughter is going through. There is a battle that she's trying to win from inside. And the moment she comes to speak it out to you, she's shouting. Actually, she's shouting for help. But then you make fun out of it, or even other siblings make fun out of it. You don't show support, Your daughter starts to put on baggy clothes because of the growth spurt. She's just 15 years and she's 67 or so in kgs, and she can't fit in a circle of friends. And because now she wants to hide her boobs, her hips, she's feeling, she's just feeling so big, she starts to put on your clothes. I had a conversation with a parent who was troubled that her daughter is now putting on her deras. And I'm like, can you try to listen what this girl is saying? When she starts to put on the baggy clothes, it should communicate to you. And as a parent, you're trying to push her to put on the fitting clothes. But your daughter is communicating something to you. And so it goes beyond what we are seeing to understanding what is happening with my daughter or what happened to me. I need to interpret things. I need to understand what is really going on in her life so that I can give her the support that she needs. Not solutions, the support. Solution is part of the support, but there are so other support that you can give your daughter. Okay. Yeah, it's so deep. And that is why I say sometimes this webinar might be a little bit triggering. Nancy says, Guy, what are we supposed to do if performance is not good? If not tuition, what will make the performance better? Please help. Now, I was not a high performer. Honestly, in school, I was not a high performer, the A minus, the B plus. No, I was a C plus, C plus kind of child in school. But I was really hardworking. And in my Form 4, I scored a B minus, which got me to university, self-sponsored. That was a plus. No one expected that I'll get a B minus because the only time I got a B, anything B, was in Form 1. The rest, it was C plus, C. Sometimes I went even to C minus, you know. Suppose I had a parent who was pressuring me to get an A or an A. Okay. But parents, you know your children better. You know your child who has a potential of getting an A. Please push her to get that A. You know you have a child who has a potential of getting a B plus. Please push her to get a B plus. But please don't forget, and I told parents in the previous webinar, that the moment your daughter gets into teenager, you cease to be the only person who is speaking into her life. You cease to be the only influence in her life. And you will wonder, how come my daughter has an issue with her physical appearance? And I've been affirming her all through. I have never said anything negative about her body or her skin complexion. Where is she getting it from? She's getting it from social media. She's getting it from billboard as you're traveling around. She's getting it from the packaging of products or products that have light-skinned girls. You know, the news anchors we see, they are light-skinned. You know, they have a particular shape. So you cease to be the only influence. And so when her performance is going down, then you need to ask what is happening in her life that is causing her performance to go down. Because if she's being bullied, you know, in school, there is no way she will perform. And once she comes home, if you don't know that she's being bullied, when she comes back from school, you are pushing her to perform, but you don't understand what she's going through. But also because she has a past experience with you, she can't trust you, so she can't tell you. And I've ever had experiences with parents who are telling their children, if you are bullied, ata wewe chapilia, bully them, you know. Is it really helping? So when we talk about academic performance, please know that there are so many things that can affect your child's performance. And parents, I'll say this. If your daughter, your son tells you they want to be transferred from school, please believe them. I know sometimes it can be dramatic. I know sometimes they may be faking, but be the first person to believe your child. Acha ujue baadaye they lied, but be the first person to believe that your child was right. Let them know that mommy trusts me, instead of mommy does not trust me. So if they come and tell you they don't want to go back to that school, sometimes they can be dramatic, that the day they're supposed to go back to school, that's when they're telling me, Mama, I want to be transferred. I know it can be that dramatic. Okay, I know it can be that dramatic, but also, can you be the first person in the entire world to trust your daughter? You are mentally in a position to overcome the lies. You know, you can know that, hey, my son lied to me. Honestly, that was bad. But anyway, it's fine. But for her, if you express distrust, it may be difficult for him or for her to overcome that. Okay. Let me check some comment. Okay. Get tried, because especially if it's a random shift, could be bullying, abuse, or other issues. Get talking. Yeah, talk about it. Talk about it. How do you support a child who has been bullied? That's Priscilla. Let us also not focus on academic performance only. A child can be talented in other areas such as music, drama. Focus on such. Absolutely. Absolutely. Please, parents, I sometimes wonder, suppose my mom was that you have to get an A. You have to, and it was so good. I was a Christian Union chairperson. I was a captain in my school, and I was leading some other programs in the university. I got into leadership. I helped to mobilize some food items and money to take care of the poor children. I helped another kid go back to school, you know, mobilizing. Suppose my parents ignored all that and they wanted me to graduate with first class honors in medicine, you know, I would be a very frustrated kid. Now, parents, I'm having a program in August, this holiday, and I am very, very intentional. I'm not going to do this alone, with girls alone. I want a program, and I've crafted a program, of course, from the feedback that you've been giving on my social media platform. I ran these programs out of a need. I don't wake up and feel like, now I need to. No. It's out of a need and solving a particular need in the community and in schools. And so by the time I'm coming to ask you, I have asked girls in schools, I've talked with teachers, and I feel it is very, very important for us to have a combined program, not like the girls and parents together, but having a common theme so that we are able to solve a particular problem. And I'm having this program, Raising Fearless Daughters, and I want us to talk about healing connections. I want us to have a deeper relationship with our children, okay? This time around, I want to teach your girls about trauma, because some of them are even facing trauma in school, you know, being bullied. The way she interprets that can mess her life completely. You know, we want them to know how to separate issues. For example, when a teacher tells them that they are silly, they are stupid, things that as parents we don't have control, or they throw those negative words, that our girls will not take them and say, now I am stupid, I am silly, I am naive, I am blah, blah. They don't take all those labels for them. Okay, but also I want to teach them on emotional intelligence, boundaries, and healthy relationship. For parents, I want us to talk about understanding childhood trauma. Let's dig deeper. Let's understand. You know, I told you I'm not a counselor, I'm not a therapist. Let's dig deeper on understanding childhood trauma. What are those things that we went through that are affecting our relationship with our daughters? What about trauma-informed parenting? Because remember, I've told you, our girls are not, we are not the only influencers. There are teachers, there are friends, there are peers, there are, you know, the community at large who are speaking into their lives, and we don't know the information that they're giving them. Then how can we support our children to be emotionally stable and to be able to feel, to know that home is a safe haven, is a safe place that I can be anytime. And for parents, this program is not only going to help you with your daughters, but also with your sons and other children that you are parenting. How do we build trust and safety? So for girls, I'll be having them with them 3 sessions, okay? But for parents, it's 2. And I'm not the one who is going to do this training or these sessions. I am talking to, I don't want to mention the name, certain doctor, renowned doctor in this country, so that she can help us to unravel or to uncover what is happening in our lives and also how we can support. So for the parent sessions, I'm not the one who is going to handle that. It will be handled by a therapist, a professional person who has over 30 years experience, because I want us to, there is something I want us parents to have that can give our daughters a safe space, but also that can help us to raise fearless daughters. Imagine raising a daughter who believes in themselves, who cannot be stopped by anything. That's what will give you confidence, even when she's going to the university. You know that my daughter can not make messy decisions, you know, but you will be afraid to release your daughter if she's not equipped with these skills. She's not equipped with knowledge. She doesn't know that life, that she can be heartbroken, you know, and how to have boundaries. Your daughter will get in a relationship. We are having university students who are getting relationship, or they are killing each other, lack of emotional intelligence. Suppose your daughter who is 14, who is 15 years old, can be equipped as early as now with emotional intelligence, and she knows how healthy boundaries are, how healthy relationships are, and who is able to be resilient to overcome the pressures that are brought by the world. Because you will not ever be caging them, you know, or protecting them. You will have to release them. Okay. And so, parents, I really want you to consider this program. I will be sharing more details about the therapist will be having and experiences, so that you can see the weight of this program. Okay, this is a program that I've really developed from my own heart because of the needs that I have seen with us as parents, and the questions that you have been asking. I'm like, where? That one is a deep one, but also the questions that have been that our girls have been asking. So I will share this flyer for the 2 sessions. The timings are different also. Before our girls come for holiday, we will have done our program, our two virtual sessions. And for the 2 sessions, you will just pay 5,000. Okay, details are there. But some of you, and I've seen quite a number of you asking, Brenda, you know, teach our girls on relationship, on sex conversation. And I said, maybe I may not like have that class, but for the parents who will, for the first 15 parents who will sign up for this program, they are going to get this bonus. This program, I ran it in April this year, and it's comprehensive sexual education for teenage girls. Day 1, day 2, day 3. I can also share with you the content of this, anatomy and physiology, gender and sexual orientation, boundaries, and developing healthy relationships with opposite sex. This one is very, very clear. Also in this bonus, I have discussed on hygiene. I've discussed things on how girls they can keep themselves clean as a girl, what they need. And in addition, if your daughter tells you they need a roll-on, please buy them. After this session, if they get this bonus, they may tell you they need a roll-on. Okay, don't be so hard. We said we are living those things that we went through. I mean, if you didn't get a roll-on, you know you apply roll-on to smell good. So if your daughter tells you they need a roll-on, some parents may think I'm spoiling my daughter. 300 shillings, that's a roll-on. I think Nivea, or is it 350 shillings? Okay. So parents, really, I hope you have got some value from this program. I want you to sign up for the August program, honestly, from my heart, because I know there are some needs or some issues that you have been asking questions and going through that can be solved by that. And I repeat, I'm not the one who is going to train that session for parents. It's a specialist, okay? It's a specialist that I'm going to bring on board. So the first 15 parents who sign up for this, they will get an access. You have seen the cost of that program was also 5,000. So you sign up as a first parent, you get access to a program worth also 5,000, okay, for 3 days. Let me check the comment section for any question. How can you help a girl who wants to stay with her dad instead of her mother? I really, you've written Samsung. That one, that's a deep question, and I would really encourage you sign up for that for that class, because then I'll be able to talk to the girls, but also the parent herself will be able to ask this question to the therapist, to the specialist themselves. I support the point that we should look at our children's passions, whatever they are talented at, apart from the academic point of view. Agreed. Judith, does the 5,000 cover both parents and girls programs? Yes, the 5,000 covers both programs for parents, 2 days or 2 sessions, and for girls 3 sessions. So feel free, the details will be there. Please let me know in the comment section before we sign out if you have gained anything. Have you got any value from this talk? I know it's I didn't even see it's almost 9:30. Please let me know if you've got value from this program. Have you learned anything? Was it worth your time? Is it something you'd love to participate in again? Please let me know. That may encourage me to have another one for all of us before we have one for parents. Vivian advises, consider family counselor. We have a Pastor Emma in church, ICC West. She could point you right. Yes, please. Unfortunately, we may not be able to see. Samsung SM, please reach out to Vivian. She can help. Thank you. Yes, very enlightening. I've learned a lot. Very insightful, very informative session. It was worth it. Thanks, Brenda. So worth every minute of it. A lot. Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. You've really helped me. Very helpful. I need to earn trust from my children. I have learned and unlearned deep. Is 5K for both girls and parents? Yes, please. 5K is for both girls and parents. And once you pay the 5K, you get another program, recorded worth 5,000. I have learned a lot. Thanks for creating time to enlighten us. Thank you very much, parents. I really appreciate. There is a lot of information, free information I share on my Facebook, Brenda Karimi. The one that is that's with is it pink? Not the yellow one. The one that is with pink. I can share it again on our platform so that you have a look at it. There is a lot of information that I share there. Feel free to follow me so that you get it. I know this one is more loaded, but also you can be adding a tip or another on the other forum. So thank you very much. It was worth calling myself for a meeting to change. Yes, Nancy, call yourself for that small meeting and discuss between you and yourself. Where am I coming from? Who am I? What happened to me? And how is it affecting my relationship with my daughter? So thank you very much. God bless you. And I pray for you. I pray for your children. I pray for you. I want your girls to have the most amazing life. I want them to enjoy their life. I want them to be fearless. I want them to pursue their God-given purpose and assignment. And I really, really, really put my heart into this. So God bless you, and feel free to engage me, chat with me. Let me know how I can support you. Let me know if there is a way I can work with your girl, so that we have an easy time as parents. Thank you very much and have a blessed night. Bye-bye.